Hey everybody, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Helm of the Host.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Commander's Brew. It's episode 146. What's happening, Sean?
Oh man, there's a lot happening right now. Brewing up decks for Battle of the Brews. Brewing up decks for Atraxable GP Vegas.
Ooh.
Brewing up just thinking about brewing for GP Toronto, where we're going to be spell slugging.
That's
big
right.
news.
Oh man, big news, all kinds of stuff. Definitely playing with players of our own caliber, finally. We're in that spell slinging thing with like the best pro players in the whole world.
Yeah, right?
It's
like
it's gonna, like, here's the thing. If you want the tickets when you're at GP Toronto and you want to play people, come play us.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I don't know if do you get to choose?
I don't know
how.
I don't know what happens, actually. I actually don't really know how it works, to be perfectly honest.
We will be sending an email to the organizer to get an explanation of how it works, but I know we'll be playing sealed, and I know that if you face us, I don't know if you get to choose or if it's random or whatever, and you beat us, which is going to be very easy, you get tickets.
Yeah, it's like, what format are we playing? It's like, I think Commander?
No, it's sealed.
No, that's the bounty thing. That's the bounty event.
Isn't that what we're taking part in?
Yes, we are taking part in that, but there's also spell slinging, which is different.
Oh my goodness.
That's two separate things.
We need to do our homework. GP Toronto is this
I did
weekend
a little bit
coming.
of the homework. I did look on the GP website and see what the events were. I believe that the spell slinging is just like if you sit down and play a format with us and you beat us, you get a little extra. You get a little bonus.
Cool.
So I believe we will be playing Commander for that. I think it's any format we want for the spell slinging part. So if you see us at GP Toronto and you got your Commander deck with you and you friend or two or whatever, let's get into a game. That's only on the Friday, though, mind you. That's so on the Friday, let's play some Commander. Let's play some Magic. Come on out.
Ooh.
Oh man, I gotta say, I've been obsessed with what this week's show is built around, and I really want to get to it super, super fast. But I guess let's get to a little bit of business first, a little tiny bit of business.
Oh, sure. Of course, we must thank our patrons, the generous supporters who donate each week, hanging out on the Discord, throwing card ideas around. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about Helm of the Host. Mm-hmm. That's a blast. That's super fun. Get in on that if you want. And gotta thank Ultimate Guard for sleeves and boxes to keep our cards safe.
Yep.
Keep our little family members safe.
That's right.
And also must thank the Wizards Tower, wizardtower.com. Here's an ad for them now. Now, welcome to Dominaria, a land full of sagas of old. One saga, often forgotten, is the saga of Ted. At the beginning of the saga of Ted wanted a chicken sandwich, so he sought out to get it. Chapter 2 of the saga, Ted bought the chicken sandwich, and it was delicious. Chapter 3 of the saga, Ted discovered he also had French fries. This saga has been told for generations in the chicken sandwich business. Start your own similar saga with The Wizard's Tower, wizardtower.com. Chapter 1, use coupon code ILOVEBREWS, or if it's the month of June, start using code SUMMEROFBREWS. Chapter 2, you get free shipping anywhere in Canada if you spend $15. And Chapter 3, 3% kickback on your next order. The Saga of the Wizard's Tower.
All right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure this is only one example of many we don't know about.
Oh yeah, there's got to be more than just the one. Obviously, I mean, just listen.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
What they were saying exactly.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, like we only see the sagas they chose to tell us, but there's probably many more tales of Dominaria.
Oh my god, please. There's stories about people just going to the store. There's stories.
It's not too far from the one we just heard, actually.
Right? Yeah. I mean, we know. I know that. I know that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm saying that like there's those that we know about right there, and then there's other ones about just like hanging out at your friend's place or going camping or something. The saga of you trying to get a return from an online store, for example, which is difficult. That's a whole saga right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the saga of Andy.
There you go. The saga of me trying to get a refund for a sweater I bought Sarah for her birthday because it was too small.
Huh.
That you put a cat in. It's like a hoodie.
Oh, the sweater is for a cat?
No, it's a sweater for you, but there's a big, huge pouch on it that you can put your cat in, and your cat can sit in there and be comfortable like a little kangaroo.
That's so nice.
Yeah, but this one was too small. Because our cat is, it's not too small for Sarah. It's too small for our cat. So I gotta get that bigger one. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into it, man. I am so stoked to talk about this deck because this is the thing that's been on my mind ever since Dominaria came out. And I was telling you before the show here that I had some real difficulty with this week's deck because I feel like we've hit a couple of the interesting commanders in this format. There's obviously so many, so like, you can't run out or anything. But I didn't really want to do another mono-colored one. And the two-color ones, none of them are really jumping out at me. I thought about Slimefoot because I actually kind of want to build that deck in real life anyways. But something about it seems a little bit on rails to me. It's like, okay, it's a Saproling deck. That's cool and everything. And Slimefoot's a very good commander, but like, what am I going to tell you? Just go search for Saprolings. You'll find the cards you want. You'll find the like spore counter cards and all that kind of stuff. Not to say we won't do Slimefoot in the future, but anyways. And then I was thinking like, there's so many Muldrothas already done on like various podcasts and a lot of articles written about Muldrotha. So good, so cool. That I really was like, what do I do here? And then I was like, oh yeah, the card I can't get out of my head is Helm of the Host. It's like, it's just so exciting and you can do some really awesome things with it. So I figured let's just brew around that instead of one of the commanders themselves,
This is a card to me. Well, let's read it first.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah, let's talk about
So
this card.
it's
Go ahead.
Helm of the Host. 4 generic for a legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary. If equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. This card is... They tried to put Magical Christmas Land in a piece of equipment, and that's what this is.
That's what they have done.
Because you can copy any legendary, and they don't exile, and the tokens don't leave at the end of turn, and you can attack with them that very turn if you want to, and you can just have multiplying commanders. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Helm of the Host. It's bonkers. Now, it's a lot. I mean, the initial casting cost isn't too bad. 4 mana for an equipment that has this high a ceiling and has this amount of power, coming in with it is actually quite good. So 4 mana is okay. The equip cost is 5, which is a lot, right? So the turn you cast this, the next turn, that would eat up your entire next turn if you wanted to equip it right away, right? So if you did it on 4 and then on 5, obviously. But that's probably not what's going to happen. But it is a lot. So that's definitely a pretty big downside of it. Because especially if you equip the helm and then before you go into combat, someone kills the thing you put it on or something. That's going to be a real feel bad moment. And yeah, that's not going to be great. However, like I said, the ceiling on this card is very, very high. And obviously being able to break a rule, right? Essentially. So we're able to make a copy of a legendary creature, which you're not really supposed to be able to do. Whenever you can break a rule in Magic, it's powerful. It's very powerful. Those are rules for a reason, right? So the fact that Helm of the Host lets you break a rule is really powerful, is really great, and no question, it's amazing. And this card is pretty cheap. I don't want to jump the gun on the budget, but this isn't like Blade of Selves. Blade of Selves was a really great card that sort of impacts hard when it goes off. Helm of the Host is a bit slower in that way. You have to wait, each turn you only get one copy. But Helm of the Host is like $2 or $3, which is like, go get them now. Because I do not think they will stay this cheap for very long. Because I think this card is amazing in Commander and kind of almost goes in every deck. We always say on this show, like, if you can put something in your deck that just interacts with your commander and is very powerful and very good, which Helm of the Host is, it's worth putting in your deck. So I honestly think you can make an argument for Helm of the Host in not literally all, but like a lot of commander decks.
Yeah, and I think one of the exceptions that is sort of unspoken is like meta dependent. If you're in the super competitive, everyone wins by turn 4. Obviously, you can't afford this kind of thing that soon. But like in sort of the more like that's kind of our motto is like we're more of the like 6 or 7 out of 10 decks. They're they're more based on kind of fun rather than like winning at blazing speeds and just having a good multiplayer game. At the Helm of the Host is fantastic.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong, we're playing to win here. It's just that we're playing to win in a slightly slower, fun way. And Helm of the Host.
Yeah, with a budget deck, you kind of have to, right? Because like the things that make decks out of budget are often like dual lands and things that make you half a turn faster. So it's like, we don't care about half a turn faster.
Exactly. So Helm of the Host, very, very stoked about this card. Very, very cool. So when thinking about what I like to do with this deck, well, I want to make copies of legendary creatures, obviously. I want to be able to find Helm of the Host, right? That's important. And I want to maybe even somehow further copy the tokens that Helm of the Host makes. So in order to do that, I thought about like what are the colors we need, and you could go a couple different ways. You certainly could include. You can just like do a 5-color deck, 4-color deck. I decided to like pare it down as much as possible and went with 3 colors, and I went with Bant. And the reason I went with Bant is because green and white populates. It's really good at that. Green is really good at also getting stuff back from the graveyard as well as white. White can find equipment really easily. And blue also it has a lot of interactions with artifacts and stuff. And obviously blue is just a powerful card draw thing. So that's just really great. You could make an argument to include black instead of like green, perhaps. Maybe even blue. I think it should be just as good. But in this version, we decided to go blue because I like this interaction also with Rubinia Soulsinger.
Oh my goodness, Andy! When I read the notes for this episode, I was like so excited because the Helm of the Host, we're all just like, who are your dream commanders for Helm of the Host? And I was like, we all came up with a bunch, but I never thought of Rubinia. Rubinia is amazing.
Yeah, and she wasn't even on my radar until I thought of Bant. I was just like, well, who's good in Bant that would work well with Helm of the Host? And I immediately thought of Rubinia. I was like, oh, Rubinia Soulsinger. I bet that'd be really good because she pops out, she gets haste, the token gets haste, and it does this amazing ability. So Rubinia is 2 and Bant, so green, white, blue. For Legendary Fairy, she's a 2/3. You may choose not to untap Rubinia Soulsinger during your untap step, and then she has the ability of tap, gain control of target creature for as long as you control Rubinia, and Rubinia remains tapped. So the idea is she's like a pretty fair version of like Mariki, who's another card that taps to take control of stuff. But you can choose untap her, and then you lose control of the creature. So it's, normally it's fairly fair. You can grab one creature only with Rubinia, but it's always probably going to be the best creature that's out there, right? Now, obviously, with Helm of the Host, we can make multiple Rubinias and still multiple creatures. And so the focus of this deck, the idea behind this deck is not only to copy your own legends with Helm of the Host, but to steal other people's legends and copy them as well.
Ooh, I never thought of that either.
So Rubinia can steal a commander or many other commanders if we get a couple tokens of her. And then we can move that Helm over onto those things and then copy those guys. So that's how we're going to live this sort of 5-color-ish dream of being able to make copies of other things as well.
We're 2 cards in, and I'm so excited already.
That's what when this dawned on me, when this combination dawned on me, I was like, oh yeah! Like I was the same way. I was like, this is very cool. I can't wait to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
don't do it to me though, but I can't wait. To do
this. Now, one downside is like Rubinia, her ability is pretty cool, and when you make a lot of them, she'll just be able to steal many creatures. It's a little bit oppressive. People might be afraid to start playing creatures because you'll just steal them. The good thing is, though, is if they get rid of those creatures, again, unlike Mariki, who, again, is basically the same creature except you can't untap her, but if she does become untapped, you kill the creature she stole. But with Rubinia, if they kill the creature, they just get it back. So it's not as bad. Like like I said, it's a little more fair. So that's why I like this card a lot, actually. And you can look back. I don't know what episode it is off the top of my head, but we did an old Rubinia Soulsinger deck. I think it might just be a Bant episode, and she's just a great commander. I think she's a very underrated commander. First of all, she's just really, really fun, and like I said, fair. Anyway, so she's great, lots of fun. So we want to copy those legends, and then we want to just make a bunch of legends, and that's broken. So that should hopefully help us win. So let's dig into the categories here. Let's see what we're working with. Let's first of all, we got to get our Helm. We got to get the Helm. So we picked these colors because we can get the Helm fairly easily. So Sean, you want to start us off with this first one here?
Oh, sure. So we're talking about Deadeye Quartermaster, 3 in a blue, 2/2 human pirate. When Deadeye Quartermaster enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment or vehicle, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Let me guess, Helm of the Host.
Might be, right? Considering it's also maybe the only equipment in the whole deck.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a lot of tweaks to this deck. I'm just going to say this up front. There's a lot of room to maneuver with this deck. So yeah, I mean, we have budget restrictions and you may not, so keep that in mind as well. And we definitely will talk about that when the budget section comes into play. All right. Deadeye Quartermaster is great. Gets you the Helm. Another one that gets you the Helm is Steel Shaper Apprentice. 2 and 2 white for a 1/3. And this one has an activated ability. It's not a triggered. It's you pay white and tap it. You return Steel Shaper Apprentice to its owner's hand, and then you search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. It's just a bit slower, but not bad. It'll do in a pinch. And then the last one.
Yep, moving on. Open the armory. 1 in a white sorcery. Search your library for an aura or equipment. Reveal it, put in your hand, and shuffle.
A couple little tutors here. That's all we're going to do. And like I said, white's great at getting these cards. Blue has other ways to get them as well. There's even more that if you want to really chalk your deck full of them, you can. But one great thing about this deck, I will say, is that if you don't get Helm of the Host, it's not like this deck doesn't do anything. This deck actually still has lots of ways to deal with and work with legendary creatures and make them really good. And just, I mean, the more legendary creatures you have, the better it's going to be anyway. So, yeah, don't, like, if you want Helm of the Host, but if you don't get it, you're still going to be able to do lots of fun things. So anyways, those are the ways we're going to get the Helm. Now let's just take a look at a couple of the cool legendaries we're working with in this deck. Obviously, these are going to be ones that work really well with Helm. First of all, of course, starting with Tristana. I think this is the card that a lot of people thought. Just naturally, you think about this card when you think about copying and making tokens of creatures that aren't, you know what I mean? And then obviously, if they're non-legends, you can make more. Tristani Selesnia's Voice is 2 green and 2 white for the legendary Dryad. It's a 2/5. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. So that alone can get out of control when you have a Helm of the Host on Tristani, because she'll come in, you're going to gain 5 life. And it's another, so it doesn't count when itself comes in. But then if there's 2 Tristanis and another Tristani comes out, that's 10 life, and so on and so forth. So actually, no, it's 5 and 5. Yeah, 10 life. So yeah, you'll just gain a ton of life off of this creature in general, which is also very good. But it also has pay 1 green, white, and tap it to populate. So you can make even another one. And don't forget, these tokens that Helm makes get haste. So you can do this right when they come in. You can make more and more copies.
And I want to point out that, like, populate works because the Helm of the Host specifically says that the token copies of our legendaries are not legendary.
Exactly.
So we're copying non-legendary tokens into more non-legendary tokens.
Exactly.
No problem.
Exactly. It's not like Helm is granting them that ability, and then when it goes away,
right,
the ability is not there anymore. No, they come out without the word legendary on them, essentially.
Whew.
Really, really cool. Another one here from Dominaria. Check this one out.
Oh, yeah. Tatiova, Benthic Druid, 3 blue-green for a legendary Merfolk Druid who's a 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Yeah, if having 1 Tatiova isn't drawing you cards fast enough, have a second Tatiova. Start drawing 2 cards per land. Is that not fast enough? How about 3 cards per land that comes in?
This is the...
I wouldn't go too high on Tatiovas.
And that's the thing. Like, you can... you might run into a case where it's like, okay, I've made 3 Tatiovas. That's good enough for me. Now I'm going to switch it over. I'll put it on Tristana, or I'll put it on something else. And then, so you're kind of happy to you don't have to go like infinite Tatiovas. You can play around with it a little bit and get a good mix going on. I always forget. This card's pretty new. But I looked at this card today and was like, oh yeah, you also gain life.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. So when you have 3 or 4 Tatiovas, not only is it each land drawing you 3 or 4 cards, you're gaining 3 or 4 life, which isn't nothing.
It's not a May, though.
True, it is not a May. You do have to draw those cards.
So you can't have too many Tatiovas.
But you can, at some point, you can hold lands back if you really want. You don't have to.
True, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's the May. The May part is playing lands.
Exactly. This next one is really cool with Helm the Host. Temet, Vizier of Nactamun. White, blue. It's a 2/2 human cleric legendary. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature token you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. So it also has Embalm, 3 white, blue, and you exile this guy from your graveyard and you create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a white zombie human cleric with no mana cost. That's interesting. And you can do that as a sorcery. Now, I don't think you'll really Embalm very much with Temet, although you might. But when you do Embalm it, it does come out as a legendary, so like you can still attach the Helm and make copies of it and stuff. But Temet is really cool because the more Temets you get, the more of those triggered abilities you're going to get. So you're going to be able to get, at the beginning of combat of your turn, target creature token gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked. So what you can do is you can stack all those triggers onto one token, make it really huge and make it unblockable, or go wide and stack it on a bunch of the tokens you have, like if you have a lot of them, and make them all unblockable. So Temet ends up being like a really cool win condition. Now, again, it's kind of slow with Helm. You're going to make one of these per turn. But if you can populate, which we have lots of ways to do, you can actually, a lot of the times, like just make a bunch of this guy, and then combat is just like, oh, swing and I win. Because you've got unblockable damage that's being pumped and all this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
he is a really, really, really cool commander that I did not think of when I thought of Helm of the Host. But when I saw him when I was doing my searches, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really good.
Oh, yet another one I never thought of. Tromokratis, 5 blue, legendary Kraken, 8/8. Tromokratis has hexproof unless it's attacking or blocking. Tromokratis can't be blocked unless all creatures defending player controls block it. Well, guess what? If you have 2, they can't possibly block both.
Yeah, they cannot block both of them.
And Tromokratis has that cool, and so like the way it's worded, right? Like you have to read carefully. All creatures defending player controls blocks it. And then the sort of reminder says, if any creature that player controls doesn't block this creature, it can't be blocked. And that includes tapped creatures. Like it doesn't say all creatures that can block it must block it. It has to be every creature you control has to block it. If they're occupied because they're tapped or they're under an enchantment that doesn't let them block, well, sorry, Tromokratis cannot be blocked.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, and it's a bit of a nightmare when you get 2 of them, right? So the great thing about Tromokratis, like you're not supposed to be able to have 2 Tromokratises.
No,
you're not supposed to be able to have 2 of them. It's insane. The 8/8 basically can't be blocked, and like half the time it has hexproof, right? So the thing you do is someone plays their 1 Tromokratis they have in their deck, because you go, okay, it's hexproof. This thing is going to be huge, but you know what? At least I can kill it when it attacks me, right? It swings at me, or if it's blocking or something, I can get rid of it. But so what you do is you put the Helm on Tromokratis, and then you just wait for a little bit, and then you make another one, and now all of a sudden they can't get rid of they can't get rid of the Tromokratis. They need a board wipe. They need a board wipe. So then you start swinging, and it gets haste. It gets haste when you make the token. It gets haste, so it just attacks.
And so, in theory, you only attack with the token.
Yeah.
So protect your original Tromokratis with hexproof, and then they're like, okay, if you want to spend a spell on this token, that's fine, because it costs me nothing, and I'll just get another one next turn.
Exactly. So,
and if they do block with everything, you choose 8 toughness worth of creatures to kill.
Exactly. You still get to kill a bunch of stuff. So Tromokratis, really, really cool. It's like, this is the epitome of, you're not supposed to have more than one of these. You're breaking the rules here. You're only supposed to have 1 Tromokratis, you cheater.
Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah. And this one is cool. This one, one of the ones I did think of when I thought of this deck right away was Tol Samir Wolfblood. 4 green-white for legendary elf warrior. It's a 3/4. It says other green creatures you control get +1/+1, and other white creatures you control get +1/+1. It also has the ability to tap and put a legendary 2/2 green and white wolf creature token named Voja into play. So that last ability is interesting because, unfortunately, if we have the Helm on Tolsmir, that it doesn't make that token non-legendary. So that still will you'll only ever have to have one Voja, unless for some reason you equipped Voja. But that wouldn't be worth it, because the beauty part of Tolsmir is that when you make more than one of them, they pump themselves by +2/+2 for each other one out there. So then you just get this massive army of like elves riding wolves. And then you make one little wolf that's also going to be massive, right? Because it's green and white. And this will also just pump other parts of your team. It'll pump other tokens you have. Exactly, right? So this is just a cool one to put on that just basically equates to a massive anthem if you can get a couple versions of this. Now, there's a lot of legendary creatures that do this ability where they like pump other things, or they pump like a specific creature type or something. I like Tolsmir the best because it's not about a creature type. It's just about the colors. And it includes 2 of your 3 colors, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So it'll pump mostly everything at least by +1/+1.
Great. You have a category here about protecting and recurring the Helm. Obviously, if our opponents know that the Helm is central to our strategy, they will destroy it quickly. But I gotta say, if I have to destroy an artifact and that's my only target, that's what I'll take. But if I have flexible removals, am I going to get the host, or am I going to get the thing that the host is attached to prevent multiple copies of that thing? I'm not sure. This is a very interesting strategic point here. How much hate will the Helm draw? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it will draw quite a bit, because I think once people see it happen once or twice, they're going to go, okay, actually that thing's out of control.
Right. I agree with you, but don't you need to get rid of the thing that you're going to Helm with it? I know something like Tolsmir Wolfblood isn't that scary without a Helm around, right? Yeah. Tolsmir is a fine creature, but if you got a Tromocratus, I probably want to deal with that Helm or no.
But I'd rather get rid of, if I have, let's say I had 2 spells available to me, and one was, one we destroyed either a creature or an artifact, right? Let's say it was one of those.
Like a putrefy?
Yeah, there you go. Putrefy does that. Yes, absolutely. I would get rid of the Helm, because the Helm has the possibility to make future more of that creature or any other creature. Whereas if you get rid of just that one creature, it's like, well, great, now I can just attach another thing to the Helm. So I think you gotta stem the bleeding. You know what I mean? You gotta stop the flow of creatures.
I mean, that's entirely true. I agree, but I bet your opponents will worry. You think? I mean, I can kill that home, but the Tromocratus is coming at me, Helm or no. So I got
True.
That's bad.
That's very bad. I mean, yeah. I think there are certainly situations, like you're saying with Tromocratus, where a person might be like, I have to kill this or I'm dead.
Yeah.
Then and in that case, of course, that will certainly happen. So, but there are definitely going to be some cases where people are going to want to kill your Helm. No question about it, right?
Sure.
So this is why we need to have it's not a ton, but it's a little bit of protection for it and a little bit of recursion. So yeah, go ahead and read that first one. This one's good.
So we got Hannah, Ship's Navigator from the Weatherlight, 1 white and blue. She's a 1/2 human artificer, legendary, 1 blue white tap. Return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand.
Perfect. She is also a legendary, so if you want to make a couple of these, you can, and recur some things. It's actually pretty good, because if you did make even just 2 Hannahs, they need to deal with Hannah now instead of the Helm. Because if you kill,
that's what I'm talking about, right?
Now if you kill the Helm, Hannah will just get it back. So now there's a couple Hannahs, so it's like, oh god, I can't even get rid of this Helm because one of these Hannahs is going to bring it back. And just again haste. So the tapping is so great, right? No problem.
One of these Hannahs.
Oh man, there's so many Hannahs.
That's kind of there's a lot of Hannahs in the improv world.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
Here in Toronto.
Yes, couple Hannahs. Another way to protect our Helm is just to give it hexproof. And Padim will do a good job of that. Padim, Console of Innovation. 3 and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature. Artifacts you control have hexproof. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied, you draw a card. honestly, I've played this card I think I played this card in my Brea Hellkite deck. And a lot of times I've found that the highest CMC for an artifact on the battlefield is like 4.
Yeah, if you're not playing an artifact deck, like so like everyone's going to be running 2 and 3 mana rocks. I bet you'll find someone running a 4 mana rock thing here there, maybe like your Hedron Archive, something like that. But you know what? Like unless you're running artifacts, like maybe a Blightsteel comes down. Sure, yeah. Maybe you got a Wormcoil Engine in your meta, but like there aren't a ton of unless you're all artifacts, then it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a good chance you'll just have
it. So like that ability to draw cards is like actually just kind of mostly bonus here, but because we know we want to get that Helm, we have a lot of ways to get the Helm. I think you will draw a couple cards off of Padim, or maybe even you make a couple Padims, and you double up that hexproof so that if they kill one Padim, you still get that hexproof.
I mean, let's not forget, if it's a Wormcoil Engine that's preventing you from having the biggest artifact, steal it with Rubinia.
Exactly. There you go.
And now you do have the biggest artifact.
That's right. And this one's cool, straight from Dominaria.
Ooh, this is Daring Archaeologist. 3 and a white for a 3/3 human artificer. When Daring Archaeologist enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand, and whenever you cast a historic spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Daring Archaeologist.
So, this guy's just going to come down and regrow you an artifact, probably the Helm, and also nice little upside here about casting historic spells and getting counters. Like a lot of legendary creatures in this deck, bunch of artifacts, so you'll get this guy up to be pretty big, which is just kind of like a little bonus.
I think so.
Yeah, really cool. All right, great. So we're protecting the Helm, we're getting the Helm, we're putting on some creatures. Now there's 2 other things that this deck can do, and you don't necessarily have to have the Helm out for these to be good. One of them is copying tokens and being able to clone other creatures on the battlefield, not necessarily even just your own. And then there's the sack ability that will be very helpful with Rubinia. So let's talk about both of these things at once. So I'm just actually going to jump ahead to the next one and just go. Spitting Image is an example of one of the clone spells that we have that creates a token. There's a couple different ones. They vary in cost and everything like that, but they basically equate to a clone that instead of being a creature on the battlefield is a token creature, so that we can populate it and stuff like that, right? We've built entire decks around this before on the show, but this is just it's like a nice tasting of that deck, sort of added for flavor into this deck. So Spitting Image is one of our favorite cards on the show, actually. I remember people asking me about this, and this is definitely one of my favorites. 4 and 2 Simic Hybrid for sorcery that says create a token that's a copy of target creature, so any creature on the battlefield, and it has Retrace, so you can cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card. So essentially, you cast it once, you pay 6, and it goes to your graveyard, you pay 6 again, throw a land away, and you get to do it again. And you can keep doing that.
There's another Tromokratis.
And there it is. Yeah, exactly. So
as long as you copy a non-legendary token.
Exactly. So this gives you the ability both to copy those tokens that you've made with Helm of the Host if you have your Helm, or if you don't have your Helm, you can copy other legendaries or other creatures that your opponents have that you might want to use the Helm with. So it's like it kind of doubles up the Rubinia ability, but without stealing it necessarily, right?
Yes, sharing it.
And this is just good in general because it's it's like a 75% card. It'll scale with the strength of your opponent's decks or your own. It's just a cool card and a good one to have around. And then that goes with the other one, which is originally the first one. Sean, you want to read that one?
Growing Ranks 2, and so it's a 4 CMC total. You're going to spend 2 generic and 2 Simic, so
Selesnya.
Nope, 2 Selesnya, either green or white.
Hybrid, yeah.
So it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, populate. So at the beginning of your upkeep, you get another copy of any token on the battlefield. Again, if the Helm is rolling, that's going to be another Tromokratis or whomever it is.
Exactly.
And here's another example where I'm just like, if you already have a token copy, if you have no tokens on the battlefield, Growing Ranks does nothing. Mm-hmm. But if you do you go after the Helm or Growing Ranks?
Right?
I don't know.
I gotta say, it's gotta be the source of the problem, which is the Helm, right?
Well, yeah, okay, sure, but then but at least the Helm, if I deal with the creature, then it stops.
I'll
but then I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'll just say
I don't know.
I hope I run into people with that logic when playing this deck. I hope.
Oh, sure.
Like at me as the player of this deck, I like if you're going to destroy something, please destroy the creature. Please destroy growing ranks. Just never destroy the Helm, and then I'm happy, right? So I think that means that you should always destroy the Helm.
I mean,
that's what I'm
that's
most
probably
fearful
true.
of, right?
That's probably true. You're probably right. I don't know.
Next, so we've multiple ways. These are just sort of two quick examples of how to populate and copy some of our tokens and copy some creatures on the battlefield. But also, when we steal something with Rubinia, like I said, you can just kind of kill Rubinia to get it back. So it's not like so impossible to deal with or anything. But that's why it's nice to have a couple sack outlets. Now, it's not like this deck is really focusing hard on that, because I think then it becomes like kind of an oppressive thing, and I don't really want that. But if we got access to them, we might as well use them. So Fanatical Devotion is one that we've featured on the show a lot in our like earlier days, but it hasn't come up in a while. But this is an awesome card. Fanatical Devotion is 2 and a white for an enchantment that says sack a creature, regenerate target creature.
It's a free sack outlet for white.
Yeah, so if you steal something with Rubinia, and then they go to try and kill Rubinia to get their thing back, you sack their thing and regenerate Rubinia, which untaps her. Oh, no, it taps her. Sorry, other way around. It taps her. So Fanatical Devotion protects Rubinia while killing their thing. So it's like, do they even try to kill Rubinia? They probably shouldn't, because at least then their thing will be alive and they could maybe get it back some other way. So,
I mean, the only way to get it back, though, is to destroy Rubinia somehow. So,
or like, steal it back. Or,
yeah, or
you know what
exile,
I mean? Or exile
exactly. Rubinia.
You might want to wait for an exile effect that way. Yeah.
Yeah. But if they try to exile, then you just sack the creature they're going to get back, and they don't get it.
It's true. Same thing. No difference, really.
They don't get it back.
Except that it does.
This is why sack outlets that are free, that it is such a... Like, if you got to pay a little bit for a sack outlet, either to tap to activate or spend a generic, that's fine. We'll take that. But to just be able to just at any moment, at any reason, just say like, yo, is anything going to happen? Cool, it's all gone. It's like having your finger right above a self-destruct button at any moment, and you're just real twitchy. You had a couple of Red Bulls, a couple cups of coffee. Just anyone looks at your creature the wrong way, boom, it's gone. It's gone. You can't even. Don't even.
You want this creature? You want this creature? You can't have it. You can't have it.
It's dead. I killed it.
So brutal. Hate having to deal with that guy. There's another like, and for some reason, like, and we talked about this a long time ago when we first featured this card and this other card too. But like, this is a black ability now. You don't see sacrifice a creature for free on white enchantments anymore. That's a thing that appears now on black enchantments, or it used to appear. You can't really sack a creature for free outside of black, I think, at all anymore. Really, they don't really print those cards anymore. You always have to pay now, and even on the black ones, you now have to pay for a lot of them.
Yeah,
you get stuff like Yahenni, and you're like, great, this is amazing, right? Yahenni can just sack things at will, but on a white card, it's definitely tougher to come by.
Huge, so useful if you don't have black, which we chose not to brew around. Next up is Martyr's Cause. Again, it's a sack outlet for white. 2 and a white. Enchantment, sacrifice a creature, prevent all damage to a creature or player from one source. This is another underrated. Like, I knew about Fanatical Devotion, but I don't know about this card.
I think at one point we definitely featured both of these cards in the same deck. It might have even been a deck you built, but
well, I don't remember it.
I mean, it's tough, right? We've done 146 shows now. But Martyr's Cause is really neat. Yeah, it's one cheaper than Fanatical Devotion. You sack a creature to fog one source, essentially.
I thought it was the same price. It's the same price.
Oh, I thought Fanatical was 4. Oh, no, you're right.
3.
They're both 3. Wow, amazing. Okay, I thought it was 4 for some reason.
It's the exact same card, only different effect.
Exactly. So you get to fog damage to a creature or player from one source. So you prevent all damage, which is like, that's really good.
That's from one source. Yeah. It doesn't have to be... And so first of all, if you have Infect in your meta, amazing. They're never going to get you with this card out. But another thing I have to point out is it prevents creatures or players. It doesn't have to be you. This is a political superstar. Like, if someone's about to die, you could be like, I mean, I don't know if I'd ever truly save someone unless I needed their help to defeat the person killing them. I don't know.
Think about this card with your Tome Smear Wolfbloods and your Helm of the Host, right? So Tome Smear is obviously really cool because you're pumping all your creatures, but they all have this kind of now redundant ability of tapping to make a Voja, right? They can all tap to make it, but you can only have one. So, but with Martyr's Cause, you make one, you sack it, you prevent the damage to something. You tap another one, you sack the Voja, you make another one. You tap another. You know what I mean? You're just throwing these rules in the garbage, and they're saving your life. But you keep bringing them back. You keep making them. So
throwing Voja in the garbage.
that's the subtitle of this episode. Throwing Voja in the garbage. So yeah, this is just a really, really cool card. And then the sort of colorless, not free sack outlet of Carnage Altar, which is a 2-mana artifact. You pay 3, you sack a creature, you draw a card. This is mostly in there because the sack ability is obviously cool, but it's just nice to have a little draw effect attached to that sack, even if you do have to pay some money or some mana for it. So yeah, not bad. I might even actually cut one of these sack effects, maybe, for like if you had another amazing legendary or something like that, or maybe one of the outside of the budget cards that we're going to talk about in a little bit. Okay, cool. Well, that is the base strategy. These are the cards that are going to make those are the cards that are going to make the strategy come together. It seems like it's slow, but because of a lot of like copy effects that we have and stuff like that, this actually can be quite an explosive deck and kind of come out of nowhere sometimes to swing in with like 3 or 4 Tromocratises that have haste. It's like, what? How did you have what? Yeah. So it's really cool.
Andy, can I share my favorite legendary from your list that we didn't talk about?
Yes, please do.
My personal favorite, I'm just scanning the list here, is Rushme Eternity's Crafter.
Yeah.
To get a couple of Rushmes, Rushme is the 2/3 legendary elf druid for 2 green blue. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that spell's cost, you may cast it without paying. If you don't cast it, put it into your hand. Multiple Rushmes, all those triggers. It's like, is this one cheaper? No, it's in my hand. Is this one cheaper? Or sorry, yes, I cast it. No, it goes in my hand. Next one, yes. So you just get like it just. I love it.
This is where some of that explosiveness comes in, right? Like Rushme can either just draw you a ton of cards so your next turn is crazy, or just simply put them all out onto the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Oh boy,
it's wild. So yeah, she is definitely one of the best legends to throw the Helm on for sure. And there's even
how do you decide what legendaries to put in Helm of the Host? Andy, is your obsession with this artifact might have spread to me just now.
Oh man, it's just such a crazy card. It's the perfect commander card because it breaks rules and you just want to find out how to break it and abuse the ability even more and really go nuts with it. It's the perfect card and because it's so expensive though, it's like the perfect card not for spikes but for like people like us who are like chilled out and like it's commander, right? The true heart of commander.
Oh, it's the true heart of commander. Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about the 3 stars of the deck. 3 of the best. Honestly, this is one of the hardest things to pick because depending on what you have out, almost anything could be one of the 3 stars. So I kind of I don't even know if these are in the right order, but they're all quite good. The number 3 star I chose is Thran Temporal Gateway. So this is one from Dominaria as well. 4 mana for a legendary artifact. You pay 4 and tap it, and you can put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. And of course, historic permanents are legendaries, artifacts, and sagas. Spoiler alert: there are no sagas in this deck, but it's just chock full of legendaries. There's a bunch of artifacts. Really, the great thing about this card is that it kind of acts as a Vidalcan Orrery a little bit. Because you'll be able to instant speed bring the Helm in, instant speed bring in any of your other legendaries, and then for obviously anything that's 5 or more mana, you're getting a big discount on that. There's some 7 and I think even 8 mana legendary creatures in this deck that Thran Temporal Gateway is like, oh, now not only is it instant speed, can't be countered, and like way cheaper. Like that's nuts. So actually, this card is actually quite good in this deck, and like is really cool for Commander in decks that are sort of built around it. It's really good.
Oof. Yep, sounds good. Another star of the deck, Mimic Vat, 3 generic for an artifact. It has imprint. Whenever a non-token creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, that is key, non-token, you may exile the card. If you do, return each other card exiled with Mimic Vat to its owner's graveyard. That's a very complicated way of saying when creatures die, if they are non-token, you get to put 1 under the Mimic Vat, and every time you put a new one under, the old one goes back to its owner's graveyard. There's always going to be 1 card under Mimic Vat only. 3, tap. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of the exiled card. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So this is like worse Helm of the Host in the fact that it doesn't, like, you can't have multiple legendaries on your side. It's going to disappear at the beginning of the next end step. It does have haste, so you do get to attack with it, but you do have to pay to do it, whereas Helm of the Host just happens. But I can see how this is just always an all-star in any deck it's in, because creatures die, and you get to make copies of them whenever you want.
Yeah, Mimic Vat is a real lightning rod. Oftentimes, you won't even get to put anything under it, because people are like, kill that, my god, kill that, that thing is so good, I can't, anything more than 3 mana dies, it's like, you're getting a crazy deal, and whatever, maybe a really good ETB effect, or even in like a tap, activated ability is really great with Mimic Vat, because like you said, it gets haste, right? So it's just a great card, really. And
there's a cheat with Mimic Vat, because it exiles at the beginning of the next end step. So if you do it during your previous opponent's end step, well, it's not the beginning of his end step, so you get it through your untap and draw phase. So if it's a tap ability creature, you can use it on your opponent's end step, then again on your turn, and then it will be exiled at the beginning of that end step.
And the good thing is, if you populate that token with Tristana or something else, it will stay. The copy will stay, because Mimic Vat only exiles the original one that you made. And and that's tied to the actual Mimic Vat itself. That's not an ability on the token or anything.
I feel like if they made this now, they would word it so that creature has, quote unquote, exile me at the beginning of the end step.
Or maybe not, because they did make a card called Helm of the Host.
That's true. That's true.
It's just better than this anyways. Okay, and the number 1 star is the card that I will hand this hand credit to Alistair, who, when I was talking to him about Helm of the Host, he mentioned this card, and I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then the way I got to thinking about this deck was, oh, what if I was like, maybe I should do one around Helm of the Host. Oh, maybe this guy can be the commander. Oh, maybe I can include another color and make it be. So this is what kind of started off in my brain is Metamai, the Ageless. 4 white, blue, legendary Sphinx, 4/4 flying. Whenever Metamai deals combat damage to a player, take an extra turn after this one. Metamai, the Ageless, can't attack during extra turns. So you can't like go infinite with Metamai, which is good. I think that's kind of good, right? I mean, maybe it's not good depending on who you're playing with, but anyways. But Metamai certainly can get you multiple extra turns in a row. You slap the Helm on Metamai, you get a fresh one, right? Then that one attacks. Okay, you get an extra turn. Next turn, you make another Metamai. Now none of the Metamais can attack in that extra turn. They can't attack during any extra turns at all. It's not like the next one can then attack or anything.
Right. The copies don't care if they're copies, who triggered the extra turns. That is a quality of Metamai. Yeah. If it's an extra turn, Metamai is not allowed to attack.
And but then the next turn you'll be able to attack. You'll make another Metamai. You have 4 Metamais that can attack. They can all attack. As long as they all hit, that's 4 extra turns you'll take, which means 4 more Metamais on the next, and then you take all your turns, you go around, and it comes back to you. You can attack with 8. So it's just nuts, right? It's just bonkers that you can now have this many Metamais. It's just insane. So you could build. I think you could build a pretty amazing deck that's just Metamai as the commander, and just throw Helm of the Host in there and just. Wow, just go nuts.
There's already a pretty good Metamai commander deck.
Absolutely.
That's already a pretty good deck. I while you were talking about Metamai, it made me think there is an infinite turn loop if you throw the helm onto a time stream navigator. Because you'll make a copy of it. You'll
I just
pay
thought of
2
that
blue.
too. That's so weird. Because when I was talking about doing this, I was like, "Oh, what's a card that does do that? Oh, I think that time stream card would do that." Let's pull it up here.
Yeah. So you get a copy of it. It's got haste. So as long as you have 10 or more permanents, you can pay 2 blue and put the token copy on the bottom of your library and get an extra turn. And then every turn you get a new one from Helm, and the token goes to the bottom. So you're down 4 mana to just always in reserve to keep the loop going, but you just take infinite turns until you decide to stop.
There you go. There's a lot of cards that go infinite, actually, with Helm of the Host. Most notably, and I thought was like the funniest one, is Kiki-Jiki. Kiki-Jiki goes infinite with a lot of things also, but Kiki-Jiki makes a copy of itself with Helm that isn't legendary, so then it can copy that, make a copy of that, or does it do non-tokens? I can't remember. I think it works though. Create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control. So you can go infinite with Kiki-Jikis, but they're all tapped.
Yes.
They're all tapped. But you can make a million of them, so if you have like Perforos or something, you can just win.
Sure. Copying Perforos?
Yeah. Oh my God. You can do that if he's a creature. Absolutely. You can also go infinite with Aurelia. And I think, is it any? No, I don't know if it's anything that creates extra combat phases, but Aurelia definitely, because she makes combat phases and she attacks, so she can wear the helm.
Oh, yeah.
Make another one of
and
her.
Then,
there's another combat. Make another one of her. There's another combat. Make another one of her. There's another combat. So on and so forth. And they get.
Wow.
Yeah, she has even natural haste too, so she doesn't even need that part of it. But this card is just so friggin' cool, man. Like,
it's friggin' cool, man.
yeah, like this. Yeah, there's a lot of commander decks, like I was saying, that this card just automatically goes in.
I kind of want to just now brew. Obviously, white to me is the most important color for that, like, tutors. So I kind of want to just do the other two. Like, I want to do like a white,
black,
red, black.
Yeah,
Helm of the Host.
That would be a very good deck. Still, that'd be an amazing deck. Honestly, like I was thinking like Bant. Okay, for the obvious reasons, I think that'd be the best one. But then when I got to brewing, I was like, well, actually, black would be really good in this deck. Not only for the tutoring of just any card, but there's a lot of awesome black legendaries. You even get like Arvad, which is just a thing that you can do in draft and in standard right now, which is suiting up Arvad with the helm and just making a humongous Arvad, the original one that you put on. And plus it's pumping all your other legends. So if you have a deck full of legends, it's amazing. And then like these cards I just mentioned now with red are really great. Like, oh man.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very, very, just the possibilities are endless with this card. It's really great.
This card is disgusting.
and the surprise and discovery section, I did have a cool little surprise and or discovery, and it's probably just because I've never built like a deck that cares about legendaries before. I bet you if you have built a deck like that, you already know this card. But this card is really cool. Yomiji, who bars the way. 5 white for a 4/4, and it says whenever a legendary permanent other than Yomiji, who bars the way, is put into a graveyard from play, return that card to its owner's hand.
Oh, this card got a bump when Planeswalkers became legendary.
Yeah, but it's still not super expensive. It's like $1.50, $1.60, something like that. So any legendary permanent other than Yomiji, I mean, this is great. I mean, it's a 7 mana 4/4, so it's a lot to pay for like not a super big body, but this ability is really neat. And it is a legendary. It's from I don't know, one of the Kamigawa sets, Betrayers. So if you copy him a couple times, the copy of Yomiji will bring if the original Yomiji does get killed, it will then come back to your hand. Obviously the tokens won't, because they disappear when they go to the graveyard, but you can sort of protect him with his own ability by making more of him.
This card breaks my brain.
You're not supposed to have two. You're not supposed to have two of them. You're not cheating.
Supposed to.
You're cheating. Right, great.
The best.
Okay, well, before we get to the budget report, let's talk quickly about the Wizard's Tower.
WT.
Yeah, that's right. I know I just ordered 4 copies of Helm of the Host from Wizard's Tower, and I'm probably going to order more, to be perfectly honest with you. This card's amazing. It's so fun. And so is Wizard Tower, wizardtower.com.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're all about Commander or whatever, but I listened to another podcast that sort of focuses on the sort of constructed competitive modern and standard called the Disorganized Wizards Club. They're another podcast also sponsored by the Wizard Tower, and they remind me as well as the website of like if you're anywhere near Ottawa, they have a ton of events going on for like decent prizes coming up all over the place.
Yeah, check that out if you're in the Ottawa area for sure.
If you want to be a grinder who like drives to like a couple hours to tournaments and stuff, consider Wizard Tower tournaments. They have pretty good payouts.
Yeah. And we're still using that coupon code Tower of Brews.
I love Brews.
Sorry, I love Brews. Tower Brews is the original. I love Brews.
Yes.
But it will be switching next month. I'm just going to give everyone the heads up here a little early that it's going to be Summer of Brews.
If you're listening to this and the month is June or later, try Summer of Brews.
That's right. Okay, now it's time for the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards and we multiply them, even if they're legendary, and we spend them right away.
It doesn't matter if they're legendary because we're going to spend them and use them. So this deck came.
How much was this deck?
Just under $50, $49.93 according to our deck pricing website.
That is about 5 cents per shenanigan if you want to break it down to the unit cost.
That's right. So yeah, it's just under, which is nice. I mean, we had to cut a couple nice things, I will admit, but still, I think we got there with this deck. It's lots of fun. The number one most expensive card is Tristana. She's about $4 or $5 right now, depending on where you're looking. Great card in the deck that I just would not take out under any circumstance. In fact, I had to like really, make some hard cuts because I really wanted to keep Tristana in here. Yeah, she's great. We already talked about her. Very solid. Next here.
Next up, Mimic Vat 3 generic for the imprint one that lets you, it's sort of like mini Helm of the Host.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
I think this one gets a little pricey because it's very good, and it's from Scars of Mirrodin. Those cards are a little bit on the rarer side, so they cost a few more dollars.
Yeah, it's pretty ubiquitous in Commander, and the colorless nature of it really just, you can go in any deck, right? So
yeah.
And it hasn't seen a reprint ever, so there's that.
Nope.
And finally, Yomiji, the card the discovery card. Yomiji bars the way.
Yeah.
Like we said, about $1.75, $1.60, something like that, depending on where you go. It's a 7 mana 4/4 again, so like, it's not super efficient when it comes to mana. It's hard to get out there. You could skimp on this card, but I actually think this card's really good, so I wouldn't. I'd leave this one in there for sure. I think you could actually probably lose Mimic Vat if you were looking to cut any kind of money from this deck. It's very good, but like there are a lot of effects in this deck. There's the Saheeli's Artistry. We got like a lot of like what's the one you bounce a creature and then make a copy of it? We have that one too. Supplant Form. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so we got a lot of those effects. So if you're looking to shave a couple bucks off, you can probably lose the Mimic Vat. Great. All right. And the out of budget section. Now, here's the thing. So when I thought of this deck, there was another card. So I thought of Helm of the Host. I was really stoked about that idea, right? Thought about Bant, great. Thought about Rubidia, sweet. Then there was another card that I thought of when I thought about making all these tokens and all these copies and including all these cards like Mimic Vat, like Saheeli's Artistry, like things like that. And then I found out it's far too expensive. And I was so disappointed. It is the hardest cut I've ever had to make because of budget. And like, I definitely had to cut it because it's like $15. It's Mirror Gallery.
Ooh.
Mirror Gallery. I've had this card in the back of my head just because I'm like, oh yeah, you definitely threw this in a like what kind of deck would you put this in? I guess a copy deck. Exactly. This is the deck. We finally have the deck. And it's Mirror Gallery. It's 5 mana for an artifact, and it simply says the legend rule does not apply. So another card that simply breaks rules. It simply just takes a rule and throws it in the trash.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for this deck. Absolutely perfect for this deck, right?
Yeah.
We can now have, you don't even care. Like Helm of the Host is great, but like you can just make copies of your own legends with your own copy cards now. Spitting Image just copies your commander, Now this doesn't take away the text from these things. So if Mirror Gallery is destroyed, all those legends will be destroyed also. You have to
Yes.
choose one to keep, right? But still, this card would be so good in this deck. It would be just absolutely perfect. It's like $12, $13, like $15 Canadian or something. So, or $20 Canadian actually, which is nuts.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. And I'm very disappointed. I did not think this card would be expensive at all. But again, it's because it's never seen a reprint and it's a pretty unique ability. And who knows? I don't know. Is this played in any other format than Commander? Probably not. But even in Commander, is it even that good? Really? Like, you can only have one card anyways, right?
I would like to look at the statistics on the price to see if the legendary rule being applied to Planeswalkers made this go way up. Like, once Planeswalkers became...
I can look that up right now.
Legendary?
So
I guess it wouldn't have, because that wouldn't...
It did. It spiked at that point. But then it came right back down. Oh, no, wait. That's online.
Well, because...
No, it
okay,
didn't.
but
you know
like,
what? This card has been about this price, about $15 for a long time now.
that makes sense. So if you want to... I thought of a card that's also out of budget that it was my first...
Sorry,
what?
Sean. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the long enough history of this card. Absolutely, it did spike during that rule, right before Ixalan, right when that rule was like announced that it was going to happen for Planeswalkers.
This thing
spiked to like $40, and then came back down to like $15. But normally it was about a $5 or $6.
Yeah, that's people buying copies on speculation, I think.
Certainly,
like,
yeah.
Those people don't want 10 mirror galleries. I think because Betrayers is older and a little rarer, people just decided to scoop them all up with the assumption. But if you think about it, changing that legendary rule of Planeswalkers doesn't make this card good, because you were never allowed to Jace the Mind Sculptors anyway unless you had Mirror Gallery. All that did was allow a Jace the Mind Sculptor to live with Jace, Temporal Adept, or I can't remember if that's one of the Jaces, but whatever. But that was never, like, we were always... That doesn't change with Mirror Gallery.
Wait, no, it does.
It doesn't. You're allowed two different Gideons.
Right, but I can still now I can have with this card I can have Jace. I can have two of the same Gideon. I can have two of the same Jace. I can have two Mind Sculptors out.
I mean, yes, that is true, but like, is that like, do people? That was always true with Mirror Gallery.
No.
Changing the legendary rule didn't.
No, it wasn't. Because the Planeswalker rule was its own rule, right?
Oh.
So you couldn't have two of any Jaces out. And if you took away the legend rule, it didn't matter because Planeswalkers weren't legendary until this new rule. So they got rid of the Planeswalker rule and just applied the legend rule to the Planeswalkers now.
I guess.
There you go. So it spiked, but then it came back down, and now it's kind of leveled off. It seems like for a while here at this price. So it kind of found its natural price, which it kind of was going up around Amonkhet anyways. Anyways, whatever.
Whatever.
This card is a little too expensive for what it does, but it's a real bummer because this deck really wants it. Okay, there's another one. It's called Mirror Gallery. We really want this card, but actually, of course, is Captain Sisay. When you read this one,
2 green white for a legendary 2/2. Tap, search your library for a legend or legendary card, reveal it, put it into your hand. So shuffle your library. This definitely spiked when the legend rule changed.
Absolutely.
This is now like $30-$40.
This I know for sure because I bought a Captain Sisay when I was in LA, and it was like, was it a different language? I don't know, but it was like $2 or $3 or something, and I was like, yeah, I'll grab a Captain Sisay. Like, seems like a neat card to have around. Maybe I'll put in a deck sometime. And now it's like $30, and I was like, whoa, okay, no problem. So this is now one of the most expensive cards I own.
Yeah.
And next, just a little quick one here, Reki, the History of Kamigawa, that says whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. So this would be really cool to have with Helm of the Host because it is a legendary creature itself. So if we get a couple of these out, now every time we cast a legendary, we're drawing lots and lots of cards, right? So that would be really good. And finally,
$8 for Reki.
Finally, Sean, why don't you read this one? Because this one is the most surprising. But for the least surprising reason. But yes, anyways.
Willow Satyr. 2 green for a satyr. It's 1/1. You may choose not to untap Willow Satyr during your untap step. Tap. Gain control of target legendary creature for as long as you control Willow Satyr. And Willow Satyr, this is just Rubinia, but mono green.
So why is it so expensive? Do you know? Can you see how expensive it is?
Yeah, it's $50.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's because it's from Legends.
No, it's because it's on the. Well, yes, that's true, and also
Which is on the
reserve
list.
list. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
There's a reserve list card. I can't imagine that this card sees play in any format, right? Like,
I don't know.
this is not some. This isn't in some kind of like, I don't know, legacy deck or something, is it?
I mean, if I'm mono green and I'm commander, I want this card.
I mean, yeah, it's fine.
Like, I would put it in.
Is it like it's not even that? It's not that good because you kill the Will Satyr and you get your thing back.
Yeah, but they got to waste a kill spell on it. I don't know.
And the other things is like there are multiple effects that do this.
I don't know
that you don't need to make something as shallow as Willow Satyr. It's bad. It's kind of bad, right? Because like you just kill the creature. Like, well, if an enchantment would be better or something like that, you know.
I hear you.
But anyways, it's only expensive because of the reserve list, and someone decided around same thing around that legendary announcement. So just after Amonkhet, this card was like a $15 card, and then it went right up around $60 bucks.
Yeah.
This is why I think that's why I don't like the reserve list, because a card like this, which should be accessible to us commander players, especially us budget players, because this is not that good of a card, is somehow $60. It's like, well, all right, see you later.
So there's a thing that keeps happening. People keep buying out reserve list cards on speculation. And it's happening. Like, there's a lot of reserve list cards that are not expensive.
Yep.
And for obvious reason, because they are utter garbage.
Yeah.
But those middle of the road ones are getting bought out now, which are like, yeah, this card actually has a use, right? It's a bit corner case, but there is a corner case for it. Or maybe it's a bit of a unique effect, but not a great effect, but it can be exploited. Those ones that are hovering around like 10, 15 bucks are getting bought out next. So, I mean, it's probably worth us just browse the reserve list, start from cheapest and then work your way up. And when you get to a card that's like, yeah, I might want this one day and it's 10 bucks, just buy one now, because someone's going to buy all of them and it's going to be $200 eventually.
I like that. That's what you're telling people to do, as opposed to buy them all and spike the price yourself. I honestly thought that's what you were going to say. I was like, Sean, don't. No, but you're right. Exactly. Like, if you see there's a couple cards out there that you might want, they're on the list. I mean, they're not getting any cheaper. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless Wizards does something about the reserve list, which I don't believe they ever will. I'm not even sure if they should. I was thinking, like, man, wouldn't it be just better for everyone, excluding people who are specifically out there driving prices up in the reserve list, for to just be like, okay, here, guess what? There's a new reserve list. All these cards that no one cares about are not on it anymore, but these ones that are like obviously being played in lots of formats and are obviously like really cool, like Black Lotus and all that, they can stay on the new reserve list. I guess then there's the idea that you lose like confidence in Wizards and that, because it's like, well, what's to say they won't just do that again and take even more cards off of it, right? So anyways,
we'll see how it works with our new commander full dual lands.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, listen, this was a very cool deck, and despite this reserve list bummer at the end here, this deck is a ton of fun to play, and it was a ton of fun to build. And like I even said, you can build this in so many different ways, different colors, different commanders altogether. The 4-color commanders were a real possibility for me. I think Saskia would be an amazing commander.
Multiple Saskias,
right? I mean, so strong.
Are you gonna pick the same name or a different name?
Right? What are you gonna do? It's great. It's so fun. So
multiple Atraxas.
Oh man, like that. I actually thought about that. I was like, ooh, if I just included black and made this a 4-color deck, do we gain enough? And I was like, well, I can't use Atraxa, it's way too expensive, but I could maybe do a partner thing, or anyways. Oof. But I thought we gained a little more value off of the commander being Rubinia than if we included black and made it like 2 partners that didn't really care about the Helm. And I think that's really fun. So this is something I am definitely looking to make in real life. And
ooh, okay.
I'm not going to say any guarantees, but I'm saying you might see something like this in Vegas if you come.
Oh, okay.
I've been looking for a deck to build, and I think this might be the one.
Nice.
So
I like it.
Yeah, that's the show for this week.
Oh boy, man, thanks for sticking around. What a fun deck. As always, stick around. We're going to have a little Brews news segment. We'll hear all the little voices tell you where to reach us on social medias and things.
Great.
The little voices is our voices.
That's right. And stay tuned because Battle of Brews is coming out soon. It's going to be happening this summer. So,
yeah.
And, we're going to keep you guys up to date on that as things develop. So, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Brews News. I'm Andy.
And I'm Sean.
Today, we have an interview with Whisper, Blood Liturgist. Hey, everybody. It's me, Andy, and I'm here with Whisper, Blood Liturgist. Whisper, thank you very much for being here. Yeah, of course. Okay. Whisper, the return to Dominaria has happened, and we're all back. Everyone's back. What do you feel about, seeing so many people return to Dominaria?
All will be sacrificed.
Sorry, all will be sacrificed? Yes. Since we were last here, we've seen a lot of developments in the multiverse. Can you talk about some of the Planeswalkers that have sort of coming back to Dominaria here?
You need Andy is pure of blood.
Wait, Andy's pure of blood?
You heard me. Your blood.
But why didn't I did hear you that one bit, but only the little bit that you said, where you said something about my blood. Can you just say that again?
Have you ever heard a knife pierce your flesh?
I've never heard a knife pierce my flesh. No. Why?
I don't know.
Why did you asked me, though?
Here. Andy, you're trapped. And you will be sacrificed.
No. We're just here to do an interview. And I'm not going to be sacrificed. Is something funny? You're sweating. My God. Are you okay?
The fires are stoked.
No.
All is ready. Take your shirt off.
What? What? No.
You will not be bringing clothes across the divide.
What?
We need you to be nude.
This is a family show. I am not getting nude for anything, even if it is across the divide. But I'm not crossing any divides. In fact, we'll be crossing the skies in the Weatherlight. And your old pals, Joyra, Karn, and Teferi are all back. I mean, is it happy? Does it make you happy to see them back? Can you just answer about this question instead of saying your own stuff?
Death is a beginning.
No. Let's talk about Joyra, Teferi, Squee, little goblin, immortal Squee.
Flesh is weak. The soul is strong. Pass it on.
Pass it on? What is? Okay. Okay. Bells and Lock. Demon Lord Belzenlock. He's the guy you're familiar with. Oh, I've said something now. Can you let us know how you feel about the Demon Lord returning and being a major player in the Magic story again?
You spoke his name.
Is that not? Am I not allowed?
It is sealed. Blood will spill.
Sorry, you said something after blood will spill. I just didn't.
The only way to cancel.
Okay. Is?
No.
Just louder. Sorry.
Your flesh is weak.
Okay. Okay. You're not even answering the questions at all. You're just saying stuff, weird, creepy stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And I just want. Okay. Is there anything you want to sort of part with? Should the viewers out there know anything about you? Do you actually want to just say something that isn't super creepy?
Follow me on Twitter at liturgistofblood _ Bills and Lock.
That's it. Okay, liturgist of blood _ bells unlocked. That wasn't creepy, to be fair. So great. Hit up Whisper on Twitter, and Whisper, thanks for being here.
Thank you for giving your soul.
I did not agree to that. I never gave you anything. No. Thanks, Andy, for that great commander interview with Whisper, Blood Liturgist. Liturgist. Well, I mean, it was a stimulating interview with a true weirdo.
Yeah. We'll see if we can turn up some of that audio in post and actually hear what Whisper was saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're all tapped out for the week, so we pass the turn to you. Good night. If you want to contact us, I'm at Sean Tabaris.
And I'm at Andy Holbone.
Send us an email at commandersbrew@gmail.com.
You can find out when we go live on Twitch if you follow us at twitch.tv.
And if you care to support us on Patreon, check us out at patreon.com.
And you can find our deck list on tappedout.net.
And if we forgot anything, commandersbrew.com.